Hey everyone, this is Joseph with Flooring Takeoffs, and if you're in construction, you've heard this word takeoff thrown around a bunch, and you may or may not know exactly what it means. So in this video, we're gonna cover what it means, and then you can figure out why I talk about it so often. So, what is a takeoff? When you get a job to bid, part of putting together that proposal is doing your takeoff, and in a basic sense, that is just figuring out how much of each material that you need to put on your sheet. Let's take this room. You're bidding a one room job.
Or that's not going to fit into our schedule, you know?
At a basic sense, all you're doing is figuring out the square footage of this room. So you're just going to go length by width, done. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do it by hand if it's small enough. When I first started, we did things by hand still. You can use an all-purpose software, kind of like Bluebeam, the industry standard, or if you're a sub, I'm in the Division 9, you can use a flooring specific or a scope specific software. And you have a bunch of different options there.
So many.
For flooring, you have Measure Square, RFMS, and Calidus are the big three. PlanSwift is kind of an all-purpose software, and now these days you also have some AI companies coming into the takeoff space.
The robots are coming. The robots are coming.
And the big ones are Toggle, Work Order, and Creo. So quantity takeoff, which is something I do for my clients, is just giving the amount of materials that you need to complete the project for your scope. Now that next step is taking those quantities and getting pricing, and combining those two together is what's going to help give you your estimate. And then that is what's going to go into your proposal that you're going to turn into the GC. So to do a quantity takeoff, we're going to go through all the plans. We're going to pick out the sheets that we need, and it's usually finished plans for sure for your takeoff. If you're lucky enough to have a finished plan, that's where I recommend starting with your takeoff. Sometimes you don't get those. You have to make do with what you have. Maybe they just give you a narrative. But if you're lucky enough, you want to go finished plan. You want to find the finished schedule, which is going to tell you what's in each room. And then you want to look for any reference pages that you might need. So just for, again, this is going to be specific to flooring. Your scope will vary what sheets you need. So for flooring, I'm going to look for the reflected ceiling plan. It's going to show me all the ceiling heights and materials. I'm going to look for the elevations. That's going to show me what's on the walls. I'm going to look for any detail pages. So maybe I find trim pieces, transitions, and I'm going to look for any kind of cut sections, which is kind of like a detail page. And that'll just give you some more details, surprise.
I get it.
See what you did?
Mm-hmm.
About what's going on at certain areas. So maybe they'll show you areas behind a mirror if you want to see if tile goes behind it or not, or give you a better look at millwork if you want to see if the flooring runs underneath it or not. So just little stuff like that. Each plan set is going to be different. Sometimes you may need to go into the plumbing plans to find out what's going in a shower or a tub area. Sometimes you may need to go into the structural to see depressions for certain tiled areas. So it will depend on the project. Sometimes you don't have any of this. Sometimes they just send you a plan and they'll give you a narrative, and it's more like a budget, but the steps are going to be the same. You're going to go through and figure out how much of each material you need to price that project. The setup for each company is a little different. Sometimes you're going to have people just doing the quantity takeoffs, and then they're going to hand that off to another estimator or a project manager. They'll take care of the pricing and put the actual proposal together. Sometimes you'll have people doing the whole thing. They're going to do the takeoff themselves, they're going to do the pricing themselves, they're going to do the bidding themselves. So it really is going to vary from company to company based on how big the company is, how much they're bidding. The volume makes a huge difference. Maybe you don't have time to do all the takeoffs and all the pricing and all the bids. So maybe you split that up. Maybe it's, you have an estimator doing the takeoff. You have somebody else getting the pricing, because that can be a huge time investment, just emails asking for pricing and getting all that information organized. And then at the end, you have all that put together. Then you give it to somebody else, and they put the actual proposal together and turn that bid in. So the steps are going to be the same, but who is doing what step is going to depend on which company you're at. Now, this is all done. So what's next? You just do it all again.
Now do it forever.